What the f am I looking at?
Don't mind the hat, I just am way too lazy to fix my hair today. Welcome to the greatest transfer show on the planet, no bias whatsoever, Transfer Thursdays, recorded on a Thursday, so that counts. It's still gonna be uploaded on a Sunday though. Today, as you can see from the title, we're gonna go through every top transfer in the month of July, except for the ones that I already mentioned in the previous video. So if you don't see the likes of Erling Haaland and those kinds of players, they're in the other video. But let's get started, shall we? Because there's a lot of players we're going to be talking about today. With the departure of Chancel Mbemba, Porto dropped 20 million on 20-year-old center-back David Garmo. Garmo possesses unique vision to help progress the ball forward from the back line, and he joins until 2027. The beginning of the Erik ten Hag era has begun with the signing of 22-year-old Tyrell Malacia. The left-back from Feyenoord has a ton of experience for his age and has 5 caps for the Netherlands. He signs until 2026. 24-year-old Japanese winger Rutsu Doan helped newly promoted Arminia Bielefeld survive the drop back in 2021. He brought his talents back to parent club PSV, scoring 8 league goals in 17 starts, and that's earned him a move to Freiburg for 8.5 million as he signs on a long-term deal. After a few years with Lille, 25-year-old Zeki Celik joins Jose Mourinho's Roma for 7 million, with Roma's right-backs either being quite underwhelming or straight up just not ready. Celik's defensive-minded role seals the cracks. The Turkish international signs until 2026. A move to Ajax has been exactly what striker Sebastian Alaire needed since his disastrous move to West Ham in 2019. And don't forget how clinical he was in the Champions League last season with 11 goals. With the departure of Erling Haaland, Dortmund needed to find a replacement, so in came the 28-year-old Ivorian international for 31 million until 2026. However, Alaire might be out for some time after a tumor was found in his testicle. Get well soon, Sebastian. We're all behind you. The signing of Erickson back in January was the best decision Salernitana made. The young midfielder was essential to the Italian club's great escape, and now he's made the move to Atalanta for 21 million, making Salernitana a huge profit. The highly proficient on-the-ball Brazilian hopes to give a spark to Atalanta as he joins until 2026. Included in the deal for Ederson was 22-year-old center-back Matteo Lovato, who joins for 7 million until 2027. With the departure of Yorkshire Pirlo comes another American to the 51st state of the United States of America. 23-year-old Tyler Adams arrives at Ellen Road and reunites with Jesse Marsch. The midfielder with a strong work ethic hopes to bring the heat as he joins for 20 million until 2027. Bryce Mendes of Celta Vigo has been at Ocelestes for a decade. However, after contributing towards 20% of Celta's goals in La Liga last season, he moves to Real Sociedad for 14 million until 2028. What are Southampton cooking? Hopefully not another 9-0 defeat, that's for certain. The Saints buy yet another promising City talent in 18-year-old Romeo Lavia. Despite not playing a single minute in the senior team, Lavia has been turning heads in the city sphere. The defensive midfielder loves pressure and practically uses it to his advantage to carve out deep line-breaking passes. He's got a good amount of pace too, and for sure Lavia is going to be a dangerous player for the future. Southampton purchased him for 12.3 million and he stays until 2027. It's essential for Forest to bolster up their defense, and they do so buying Moussa Niakate from Mainz for 10 million. The Frenchman joins until 2026. This completely went under the radar. 33-year-old defensive midfielder Axel Witsel is off to Atleti. It's no question what manager Diego Simeone has in mind, as the Belgian stays until 2023. 23-year-old Luis Sinisterra scored 12 and assisted another 7 for Feyenoord last season. He also had 10 goal contributions in the Conference League. The tricky Colombian winger has blistering speed, but more importantly, an incredible work rate, which means he'll fit just right at new club Leeds United. Sinisterra joins Jesse Marsch's bunch for 25 million and stays until 2027. Cucho Hernandez showed glimpses of what he could do at Watford with 5 goals and 2 assists under probably 15 different managers. However, after just one campaign, the 23-year-old striker takes his talents to the void for 9.5 million. In just 4 starts, he's already shown more of his brilliance, scoring 5 goals in MLS. It's a fantastic start in a new extraterrestrial existence as he signs until 2025. Speaking of transfers to MLS, LAFC made 2 extraordinary signings. The smile guy, Giorgio Kielini from Juventus, and the most disrespected world-class player on this planet, Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. Both traveled to Los Angeles for free. Just a day later, 34-year-old Angel Di Maria joined Juventus on a free. The Argentine still has it, but is still getting even more injury-prone by the day. However, if it's something Juventus are lacking, it's creativity, and the Angel of Death provides a ton of it. He signs until 2023. Steven Bergwein's time at Spurs has been pretty forgettable. However, he will always be remembered by Spurs fans for his 2-goal speed run against Leicester. Ajax, though, still seem to see something in him because they purchased him for 31.2 million. The 24-year-old left winger is really good at at getting touches in the box and receiving progressive passes, and at that age, he can still very much revitalize his career. The Dutchman stays in Amsterdam until 2027. With the departure of Diego Carlos, Sevilla bring in another Brazilian defender, Marçal, for 12 million from Galatasaray. The 26-year-old stays in Seville until 2027. Striker Luka Jovic is finally free of Real Madrid's neglecting hands. He travels to the beautiful land of Florence to team up with Fiorentina's Vincenzo Italiano. The 24-year-old Serb joins on a free until 2024 and hopes to get his career back running again. After a disappointing relegation of Heracles from Eredivisie, 24-year-old midfielder Luca De La Tour joined Celta Vigo for 2 million until 2026. 20-year-old Aaron Hickey was one of Bologna's best players last season. The left back with attacking pizzazz had 5 goals and assisted another. And obviously being Scottish, people are already drawing comparisons with Andy Robertson. Brentford though have decided to pick up his abilities for 16.5 million as he joins until 2026. He may currently be a left back, but his attributes could easily see him convert into a midfielder. Southampton have been real busy in this window as they pick up Joe Arabo from Rangers for 7.1 million. The 25-year-old midfielder scored 8 goals and assisted 4 as he stays until 2026. Losing right back Jed Spence to Spurs meant Nottingham needed to immediately find someone of the former's caliber, and in comes Liverpool's Neco Williams for 20 million as he stays until 2026. Williams' loan to Fulham last season saw just how much potential the 21-year-old has. He adapted very quickly and had 4 goal contributions in just 14 starts. Forest decided to bulk up the other fullback position with 24-year-old Omar Richards of Bayern Munich for 8.5 million. Richards didn't play too much for Bayern but showed a lot during his time at Reading in the championship. He ranked near the top of the league in tackles, dribbling, and advancing the ball, meaning he can bomb forward, beat his defender, and still track back with ease. If it's one player to look out for amongst the Forest bunch this year, it's Omar as he signs until 2026. Sometimes I think Paul Pogba is the Drake of football with the corny ways he presents himself at times.
It's time. It's time.
That being said, Pogba has been victim to the Manchester United way of the mid-2010s. It is so very obvious that United didn't know how to use him, especially if you watch the midfielder play in the national team. But finally, after wasting 6 years of his life, the 29-year-old returns to Juve where he initially made a name for himself. The question is, will he be as good? Time will tell as he joins on a free until 2026. Palace were one of the more exciting and underrated teams last season thanks to Conor Gallagher. However, with him now back at Chelsea, Crystal Palace need a replacement. That's where Lens defensive midfielder Cheick Doucouré comes in for 22.6 million. The Malian midfielder is a hardworking box-to-box creator. He averaged 6 progressive passes, putting him in the top 5 of all midfielders in the top 5 leagues. On the other hand, he averaged over 3 interceptions, putting him within the top 15%. Palace have practically bought a machine of a man, but he does need to improve on his technical abilities. Either way, watch out for him as the 22-year-old signs until 2027. You guys remember in 2015 when you watched that Andreas Pereira skill show compilation? Because I definitely do. He was supposed to be like Neymar in United fans' eyes, but instead he's turned out to be Afonso Alves. However, Andrea's time at United is over, and as we've seen in the past, that's always for the better. The 26-year-old joins Fulham for 9.5 million until 2026. After making a huge impression for Burnley in just 19 appearances, Wolves have purchased 21-year-old centre-back Nathan Collins for 24.3 million and signs until 2027. 21-year-old left winger Keem Lewis-Potter makes the jump from the Championship to the Premier League for 19 million. The young winger is great technically and has the ability to provide Brentford with another source for goals. He stays until 2028. Sassuolo add another young attacker in 23-year-old Christian Thorstvedt for 10 million until 2027. The Norwegian attacking midfielder provided 7 goal contributions for Genk last season. For these next few transfers, we're just going to ignore the chronological order. Rafinha, an X-factor at Leeds, has been brilliant since joining 2 seasons ago. The 25-year-old tricky winger is an absolute menace with the way he initiates attacks. His passing range for a winger is incredible, and dear lord, his finishing is sublime. Early into this window though, Rafinha was being approached by Arsenal. Then after a couple failed bids, Chelsea came in to hijack the whole situation. And next thing you know, Chelsea were favorites to sign Rafinha. But then...
Look, it's SpongeBob.
FC Barcelona, a club that can't even pay its players' wages, stole Rafinha from Chelsea and purchased the winger for 58 million. Robert Lewandowski may be 33 years old, but that hasn't stopped him at all. In his last 3 seasons with Bayern, the world-class striker has scored 30-plus goals. The 2020-21 season in particular would see the famous record-breaking season where the Pole scored 41. However, Robert Lewandowski a few months ago talked about how something had died in him and that he wanted to leave Bayern to seek new emotions in his life. Unfortunately for the Polish striker, he still had a year left on his contract and Bayern wouldn't let him leave. But that didn't stop Barcelona from throwing money they probably made from operating an underground meth business. Multiple bids were made until finally progress developed in talks. However, Chelsea came in to try and hijack the operation, only for Lewandowski to reject and sign with Barcelona for 45 million. The best striker in the world joins the Catalans until 2026. Finally, there's Jules Koundé. The technically gifted center back is a very exciting prospect that many top clubs want to have. He's an agile and athletic defender with a very conservative style to his play. Chelsea have been wanting Koundé since last year, but this year's window was more realistic to acquire the young Frenchman. And after some talks, the Blues quickly got Koundé on lock. Or so it may have seemed that way.
Now it's 0%.
However, Chelsea finally acquired a player without Barcelona acting like the IRS of football with the signing of 27-year-old Raheem Sterling. Only 5 players have scored more goals than Raheem Sterling since 2015-16. The English winger has scored 131 times in 339 appearances for Man City, helping them win 4 Premier League titles, 4 League Cups, and an FA Cup. And with Chelsea desperately needing someone who can actually find the back of the net, Sterling could be the answer. He knows how to maneuver in the box, and this is evident with how many back post goals he's scored at City. However, he does have some issues with finishing from time to time, but maybe with more consistent game time, Sterling can show he's still got it. The England international joins the Blues for 56.2 million until 2027. In Clermont's first season in Ligue 1, Mohamed Bayo contributed to half of the club's goals with 14 and another 5 assisted. This earns him a move to Lille for 14 million until 2027. 18-year-old box-to-box midfielder Lucas Gourna-Duath has been compared to the likes of Paul Pogba and even Yaya Toure. He leaves the dumpster fire of Saint-Etienne for greener pastures in Salzburg for 13 million until 2027. 23-year-old keeper Luis Maximiano had a save percentage of 70%, which ranked him in the middle of the pile. However, if you consider the fact that this was for Granada, who relegated and faced the most shots of any club last season, Luis had a great campaign. As a result, he's now off to Lazio for 10.1 million and stays until 2027. After having yet another falling out with yet another club, Mesut Ozil's 2-year contract with Fenerbahce is terminated as he joins Besiktas on a free until 2023. Christian Erickson's comeback to football has been a wonderful sight to see. Not only has he been able to just plant both feet on a pitch, he's been brilliant for Brentford. In just 10 starts, he was their biggest creative outlet with 4 assists, averaging the most passes per game and most key passes per game. And now he's already off for another adventure at Manchester United as the 30-year-old joins on a free until 2025. Long gone are the days of FIFA 16 where striker Bril Embolo had 88 potential, becoming the most overused player on all of career mode YouTube. I mean, I can't even complain because I did this too. However, it is safe to say that the now 25-year-old has not reached the heights that EA gave him back then. That being said, Embolo has had a decent career so far and scored a career-high 9 for Mönchengladbach just last year. Embolo's time in Germany is up, however, as he now joins Monaco for 12.5 million and signs until 2026. Cremonese are back in Serie A for the first time since 1996, and this is after some of the darkest days in the club's history. With their first season back comes a new striker from Milan in Frank Sajut for 850k. It's been an annual tradition to see multiple clubs be linked with Kalidou Koulibaly, only for him to not budge one single bit. However, finally, this window is different. The Senegalese international joins Chelsea to fill in the hole Antonio Rudiger has left. The 31-year-old center back is built like a tank who's both aggressive and physically strong. But there's more to who I consider one of the best defenders on the planet. He's amazing in the air, has positioning to a T, and can spray passes pretty well. I know he's 31, but 38 million for Koulibaly is a bargain, as he'll be with the Blues until 2026. Wolfsburg needed to move quick after seeing Xaver Schlager leave for Leipzig, so they bring in Matthias Svenberg from Bologna for 9 million on a 5-year deal. The Luis Campos era continues to show us how to actually build a culture at PSG. For the longest time, PSG has ignored any and all French talent. Even their own talent have been ignored for the likes of Leandro Paredes and Mauro Icardi. However, times are a-changin' with the signing of Hugo Ekitike. Last season for Stade Rennes, the 20-year-old striker scored 10 goals and assisted another 3. PSG bring him in for a year with an option to buy for 35 million. Romanians better keep an eye on promising 19-year-old winger Rares Ili as he joins Nice for 5 million. There is only one reason why I included this transfer. 30-year-old midfielder Iago Pikachu joins his Brazilian brothers in the J-League and signs with Shimizu S-Pulse for 800k until 2024. Speaking of Brazil, Flamengo made 2 major signings this season: 35-year-old Arturo Vidal from Inter and 26-year-old left winger Everton for 13.5 million. After a few seasons at a declining Juventus side, Matthias de Ligt joins Bayern Munich for 67 million. The former Ajax captain at his best showed off his clean tackles and spectacular anticipation. He hopes to rediscover that brilliant 2019 form at a more stable environment as the 22-year-old stays until 2027. Antonio Conte is on a mission this window, and he's added a new right back in 21-year-old Jed Spence. Spence played a huge role in Nottingham Forest's promotion during his loan spell, and it probably won't take him too long to adapt to the Prem either, because last season he put on a show against Arsenal in the FA Cup. The 21-year-old joins for 14.7 million until 2027. It is about time Takefusa Kubo left Real Madrid after 4 straight loans since joining. He's now made a permanent move to Real Sociedad for 6.5 million until 2027. At just 21 years old, the Japanese winger looks like someone who is ready to burst onto the scene. Back when he was just 15, he became the youngest ever player to score in the J-League, and during the 2020 Olympics, he was a really fun player to watch. 37-year-old defensive midfielder Fernandinho's time at Man City is over as he joins Brazilian club Athletic Paranaense on a free for 2 years. Since joining the Citizens in 2013, the Brazilian has helped City win 5 league titles, 6 league cups, and an FA Cup. Meanwhile, in Italy, the Romans gathered to welcome their brand new signing. 28-year-old Paolo Dibala makes the move from Juventus to Roma on a free until 2025. This transfer gives me vintage Serie A vibes, and I am absolutely in love with it. And the best part about his move? The number 21 is back. In 293 appearances for the old lady, Dybala scored 115 times. It'll be fun to see the Argentinian whip in some curlers, but the question is, will he be able to stay healthy? 25-year-old Bremer was easily one of the best defenders in Serie A last season, with Torino conceding the 5th least amount of goals. The Brazilian now joins Juventus for 41 million until 2027, more than likely to fill in the gap De Ligt has left. Rangers' Calvin Bassey takes his talents to Amsterdam as the 22-year-old left back stays until 2027. Jonathan Claus was a standout performer for Lens and even earned his first French cap at age 29. He's now off to Marseille for 7.5 million until 2025. Jesse Lingard, while on loan with West Ham in 2021, scored 9 goals and assisted 4 in 16 starts. He returned to United the following season and made 2 starts. The 29-year-old now leaves his boyhood club for newly promoted Nottingham Forest with the hopes of bringing the same heat and corny TikTok dances from 2 seasons ago. Porto's Francisco Conceição is off to Ajax for 5 million. The 19-year-old right winger joins until 2027. Gianluca Caprara was an absolute monster for Hellas Verona. The 28-year-old scored 12 and assisted 7. Newly promoted Monza have managed to acquire this firearm on a 1-year loan with an obligation to buy. After winning everything but the Champions League, 25-year-old Alexander Zinchenko joins Arsenal for 35 million until 2026. Alongside being a huge Arsenal fan back in the day, the Ukrainian is an incredible versatile player that can provide a ton of solidity and fluidity in Mikel Arteta's system. In 14 starts, 23-year-old right back Dodo managed 4 assists for Shakhtar Donetsk. He's now off to Fiorentina and signs for 14.5 million until 2027. Promising winger 19-year-old Gabriel Verón from Palmeiras opens a new page in the book of his adventure and joins Porto for 10.5 million until 2027. Again, I picked this transfer just because of the name. 25-year-old defensive midfielder Charles Pickle becomes a Cremonese player for 3.8 million. Dani Alves receives a great send-off from Barcelona and joins Mexican side Club Universidad Nacional, or Pumas, on a free for 1 year. Back during his prime, the Brazilian revolutionized the right-back position. And who could ever forget that 1 Sigma move? Bordeaux were catastrophically bad in Liga, which was as a result of years of disastrous mismanagement. They relegated and almost faced the possibility of relegating to the 3rd division because of financial issues. However, there was a balloon of promise with 19-year-old striker Sekou Mara, who scored 6 goals in 8 league starts. Unfortunately, that one glimmer of hope is gone now that Sekou has joined Southampton for 13 million until 2026. West Ham have brought in 23-year-old Italian striker Gianluca Scamacca for 36 million until 2027. Scamacca in recent years has constantly gotten better every single season. He had 9 goals for Ascoli in the 2019-20 Serie B season, 8 for Genoa in the following, and finally there was the breakout season last campaign where he bagged 16 goals for Sassuolo. The Italian hopes to give his country some kind of hope for the future because, let me tell ya, it ain't looking good. Rennes are a talent factory producing the likes of Ousmane Dembele and Eduardo Camavinga. 17-year-old Mathys Tel didn't have many appearances with the club but impressed a ton for France in the U17 Euros, which has earned him a move to Bayern Munich for a whopping 20 million. This kid is really good and has even been compared to Mbappe because of his raw speed. The French striker stays with his new club until 2027. Yet again, PSG are making transfers that make sense, and it's actually kinda terrifying. 24-year-old Nordi Mukiele of Leipzig is a very promising modern fullback with his best attribute being his pinpoint passing. The right back joins the Parisians for 12 million until 2027. Just like every other Italian talent, Federico Bonazzoli suffered from the Italian loan treatment. However, during his 6th loan with newly promoted Salernitana, he helped the club escape relegation with his 10 goals. The 25-year-old now joins the Seahorses permanently for 5 million and stays until 2026. 24-year-old centre-back Lisandro Martinez joins Manchester United for 57.3 million until 2027. The acquisition of the new defender will give United hope in fixing whatever the f they call a defense. Korea's Minjai Kim makes the move to Naples for 18 million. He has a huge role to fill in now that Napoli's best defender is gone, but Kim is a very solid asset. He stays for 3 years. Another American has joined the Premier League. This time, it's promising centre-back Chris Richards, who joins Crystal Palace for 12 million until 2027. Wolfsburg's Kevin Mbabu joins Fulham's long list of new signings. The 27-year-old right-back joins Fulham for 5.5 million until 2025. In one of the more weird pairs you'll hear about in club football, another player from Udinese has joined Atletico Madrid. This time it's 24-year-old right-back Naul Molina, who signs for 20 million until 2027. Rennes gain a new center-back in 22-year-old Arthur Tite from Bologna, as he stays until 2026. Japan's top scorer in World Cup qualifiers Yunya Ito joins Stade Rennes from Genk for 10 million and stays until 2026. 24-year-old left-back David Rom from Hoffenheim joins Leipzig for 26 million and stays until 2027. And finally, Forest try to strengthen their midfield with 24-year-old Orel Mangala for 13 million. And that was an ungodly amount of transfers. Look forward to doing August in September. Looking real forward to it. But what July transfer do you think was the best? Let me know. A massive shout out to all our patrons, including Janos Bala, Spirit WNT, Florian Lengo, Miliway009, Alex Rod, Alta, Amin Suamez, Arnolfo Martinez Jr., Soloto, Daniel Ortiz, Darkwolf476, Francisco Hernandez, Hashim, Jax206, Juan Leras, KevFM, Mika Deichmeister, Nguyen Di Mintang, Parafocus, Rory Byrne, The Motor Drive, Tomicus, Triple GK, Vanilla Mexican 17, Victor, Ariel Flor, Chris Damasceno, Declan Molloy, Emmett Shea, Lewis, Jordan C, Mohammed Al-Bokhail, MX Weeb, Patrick Barley, President Pulisic, Tom Little, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you'd like, follow my Instagram if you want, follow my TikTok, trying to get to 15,000 there, and of course you can follow my semi-active Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.